Thank you very much once again, Nikki. They are seeking partnerships, so please, if you wish to partner with them for everything that they do, and you wish to continue this good work, please see Nikki, and they can continue the discussions from there. Thank you very much. We are going to transition into our final panel discussion, which is a panel on learning, and this is fitting considering everything that we've been doing for the past 3 days. And to moderate this discussion, this individual has been so instrumental in education internationally and particularly in the US. And she is in the person of Dr. Tanji Reed Marshall. Let me give a brief profile of Dr. Tanji Reed Marshall. Dr. Tanji Reed Marshall brings nearly 3 decades of experience in education to advance the work of practice on behalf of students of color, those experiencing economic uncertainty, and those perpetually left on the margins of our education system. Dr. Marshall partners with states, school districts, schools, and education organizations to solve complex issues related to educational equity. Through strategic thought partnerships, educational leader and educator development, curriculum review, vetting and restructuring, and ongoing system support, Dr. Marshall seeks to ensure every student has access to the education they deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Tanji Reed Marshall.
Good morning. I wondered who they were talking about. And then they called my name. So it's exciting to be here on a Sunday, especially. And in our last panel, we're going to talk about students. We're going to talk about learning. And I'm just going to share with you that in an era of rapid technological advancements across the globe, we have to begin to ask ourselves some very critical questions about what it means to keep students at the center. Of the center of what, the center when, and the center how. Right. We brought 2 fantastic leaders in education to join us here. I'm going to read part of their bios, and then I'm going to ask you to please enjoy the remainder of their full bios in the WOVA app. Is that okay? Awesome. Thank you. So let's start with, and you've already met her, and if you were like me, you had the opportunity to go into her deep dive session as well. Yeah. So I want to welcome first up Dr. Mary Ashun. Dr. Ashun joined the Ghana International School, GIS, in 2014 and is currently in her 10th year of working with a fantastic team of school leaders to transform how it teaches, learns, collaborates, and grows. After leading GIS as a principal, she assumed the role of CEO in 2023 with responsibilities for ensuring sustainability of the organization's core mandate and in collaborating with local and international partners in the furtherance of the school's mission and vision. Prior to joining GIS, she was a school principal in Canada and had also taught sciences and math from K-12. Mary also lectured at Redeemer University in the Faculty of Education, teaching and supervising pre-service and in-service teachers. Mary holds a BSc from University of East London, a BEd from University of Toronto, a PhD from SUNY Buffalo, New York, and a Clinton-Stein Fellow of the School of Education, Columbia University in New York. Please enjoy, welcome her to the stage and enjoy her bio in the WOBA app. Thank you. Next up, we have Stephen Loya. Stephen is a dynamic educator dedicated to transforming education and equipping young minds for the future. With extensive experience in education, entrepreneurship development, vocational training, and STEAM initiatives, he is passionate about bridging the gap between academic learning and real-world application. As the Entrepreneurship and Vocational Training Coordinator at Wellspring College, Stephen has designed and implemented groundbreaking programs that empower students with hands-on skills, business technology, and creative industries. His project-based learning approach ensures that students not only acquire knowledge, but also develop critical problem solving and analytical skills needed for success in the digital economy and in the world. So please welcome Stephen Loya to the stage and enjoy his bio. And finally, we're going to invite and enjoy Dr. Millicent Ajay to the stage. Dr. Millicent Ajay is a seasoned higher education administrator with over 20 years of experience. She joined Ashese University in 2012 as the founding associate director and now director of the Office of International Programs and Campus Cohesion. She also serves as an adjunct lecturer at the Law, Humanities, and Social Sciences Department as Ashese, where she taught and coordinated the Leadership as Service undergraduate course. Amongst several recognitions, Dr. Ajay is the recipient of the 2024 Distinguished Alumni Award from the College of Education and Human Development at the University of Minnesota in recognition of her contribution toward educational excellence. Millicent holds a BSc in Business Administration from the University of Ghana Business School, an MA in Organizational Leadership, Policy and Development, and a PhD in Comparative and International Development Education from the University of Minnesota. Please welcome Dr. Ajay to the stage and enjoy her bio in the app. As we begin to think about what education means on a global stage, I'm going to open the panel up for a general question for everybody. And I'm going to ask each of you to take about a minute-ish to answer your question. I know, right? So the first question is this. As we explore the theme of empowering every learner, can each of you share one way, based on your experience or work, you believe systems across the world and across Africa can better center students while also preparing them for an equitable, future-ready world? You may start however you like.
I think that, hello.
You can check.
All right. The first thing that pops in my mind is just really raising better leaders, right? None of all the other stuff can get done really well if we don't raise better leaders. We've got to find them, we've got to train them, we've got to support them, and then we've got to create a pipeline so that those leaders can pass on all those messages, all those learnings, all the training down to them. So I would say starting off by focusing on leadership.
All right, absolutely. The first question, I think that schools can integrate real-world skill-based learning into their programs right from the primary school. So you don't have to wait in secondary school before we start integrating that model. The skill-based program that allows them to learn future-ready skills like critical thinking, problem-solving, innovation, and creativity. And this can be done through using any of the three models, either integrating the skill-based program as a single entity, or an hybrid model, or a standalone model where you are designing specific programs that can complement the curriculum in order to prepare students for the future that they are entering. And when we do this, students will be equipped and ready for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would say that we should start from knowing who that student is, right? Before we prescribe, we're just too prescriptive. We sit on our own, we sit with our very lofty ivy tower ideas, and we design things for the students without including them. And so the start is to know who that student is. what are their needs, what are their capabilities, and then empowering them to take ownership, to let them know that they have agency and they can also participate in that learning. And once we do that, you know, we will design, co-create with them and for them. Thank you.
Thank you all for that great set of answers for that first question. We're going to now shift to individual questions for each of our panelists. And Dr. Shin, this one's first for you, but because you opened the door for leaders. And so I really want you to go a little bit deeper in your first response and talk more specifically about what is the role of leaders in keeping students at the center? What is that real technical role that leaders play when we have this discussion about students at the center?
I think that it starts with that leader just setting the vision, right? Setting the vision, creating the culture that will sustain whatever it is that you're going to do. I find that in practice, you know, setting the vision, you start off by writing a strategic plan. You've got everything written down on paper, but that's just come from your head to the paper and hasn't really gone out to others, right? And so being available to others to discuss with them and to share ideas and have them ask you questions, even in the process of designing that strategic plan, that helps you to refine the idea. We have a program at Ghana International School. We call it Connections, and it's once a month in the morning. And it's a bit of a town hall style where the leaders are up on stage, they sit there and they wait to be shot at with questions. And it's such a wonderful opportunity to share vision, right? And in so doing, establish that culture. So as a leader, setting that vision and culture. The second one is then creating that enabling environment, right? Once you have created that vision, if you don't go the next step to allow the environment to allow it to flourish, well, forget about it, it's not gonna happen. And you can always tell when there's a leader who looks at that environment and is using it to grow individuals in the organization. Some years back, I received an email from this lady who introduced herself as a principal of a public school in a very deprived neighborhood here in Accra. And she said she was looking for books and computers for her students. And so we decided to support her. And so on the day that we collected all the stuff that we were going to donate, we selected a couple of students and educators to go with us to the school. And you get to the school and it's a 4-story building, right? And turns out there's 2 schools in the building, right? 2 schools in one building. One school is floor 1 and 2, and another school is floor 3 and 4, both public schools. Floor 1 and 2 were unpainted. They were decrepit, but there were students in there. And floor 3 and 4, completely different. And floor 3 and 4 was where we were going. And I thought to myself, what a difference. There's a leader who has created a certain vision and she needs to enable her people. So she goes out to go and look for the support to make it happen. And of course, after enabling them through the environment that you create, you need to give students voice, right? Listen to them as the leader, walk among them, sit with them at lunchtime, you know, just listen to them. I used to just, you know, slide my window open. My window happened to be right above the walkway to the canteen.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And I would slide that window open. They couldn't see me, but I could hear everything. And it was things like, you, the girl, man. Things like that. Things that kids talk about, but which remind you of who you're dealing with, you know, and why you need to listen to them.
Thank you so much. This next question, Dr. Ajay, is for you because you opened the door talking about the unique learning that is necessary for students. So here's your question. How can we support teachers to better identify and respond to the unique needs of learners in sometimes challenging situations, right? They may have less resources in some places, but even in resource places. So we tend to assume that it's the under-resourced places where we don't learn about kids. Sometimes we don't learn about them any place. So how can we help and support educators at any level to learn about their students?
Yeah, thank you very much. Many a times we think it's just the resources, but I belong to an educational model where we pay a lot of attention to the students, right? We've seen over the years, over the past 20 years, that once you change and empower the students' mindset, they take ownership of their learning. And in that case, the resource, the teachers just become facilitators. The students take ownership, they pace themselves, they're able to identify, but most importantly, they are validated for the efforts that they put into their learning. And so before we jump onto the technology, yesterday I listened with a lot of excitement when Sean was presenting, and I'm sitting there saying, well, how would that work in the rural? And Mary just shared, right here in the city sometimes, where there's no access to internet, where there's no access to, if you say, tablets, how are they going to power them, right? And so sometimes we think straight to technology, which is great, which is the time that we are in, but how do we focus and empower the student so that in the absence of these resources, they will have better control? In that case, if you have few teachers, they are just facilitators. Students are able to take ownership. So, I mean, I'm very passionate because we've seen the evidence. I received students first year, and almost 80 years of their lives, they've been taught that it's only the teacher who has all the knowledge. So in the absence of the teacher, they can't do anything. Again, from that deficit model. So they come in and we tell them your voice matters. You are part of the learning process. And I've had instances where students will come to my office, Dr. J, I asked the question in class. I raised my hand in class. And trust me, they are coming from extremely well-resourced environment or school systems, but they are not empowered to think that they can participate effectively. Once we are able to do that and empower them, then regardless of resources, regardless of deficit teachers or less teachers, they show up and take up the responsibility of their own learning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Stephen, this question is for you. What concrete steps can schools and communities across the continent, and specifically in your environment in Nigeria, take to ensure that every learner, especially girls, rural students, and students with disabilities, have access to quality education?
All right. After this question, there's a video that I'm going to display on the screen.
Yes, we're going to try. We're going to cross our fingers and try for that.
Okay. So I believe that equity starts from intentional inclusion at the design stage of every educational process. Most times when we talk about equity, it's mostly an afterthought. We design education programs, we design systems, we design policies, and it's now after the design process, we start thinking about how to include different learners into this. And I think that school leaders, right? School leaders can, one, set the vision. Every growth in schools rise and falls on the back of leadership. For a school to progress, like she said earlier, the leader has a major role to play to envision what education should be like in that place, and also create policy, not just creating those policies, but actually acting on those policies. It is very easy to create policies. Policies are good on paper. I have seen at different stages where we design policies and we're very excited about it. Now, to implement those policies become a problem. And that's because we didn't consider what's actually on ground before doing that. And I also think that communities as well play a major role in this. In rural communities, we must understand that one of the purposes of education is to first liberate an individual and also make the community a better place. So if the education does not allow the community to become a better place, then we must ask ourselves, what are we actually doing? in rural communities, if we're educating the children in those communities, and the goal is not to contextualize their local problem and see how we can empower those learners in those environments to say, I'm going back there to solve the problem, then we've actually not done the job of education. So, and at the same time, communities can also come together to say that, you know what, instead of investing, thinking of technology at a large scale, why don't we have a central innovation hub where students in the rural communities can learn and imagine the future? Because children cannot imagine a future they've not seen or they cannot not participated in. If you are talking about AI advanced technology and there's a child in one local place in Nigeria, he cannot even picture that. If you're talking about virtual reality, for instance, they cannot picture that except to bring that environment. You intentionally design that environment where they can imagine the possibilities. And it is through imagining those possibilities that they can think about, I want to leave this space. I want to go out there and become better. Otherwise, we keep doing the same thing. And it reminds me of, I'm going to use this project as an example. Just yesterday, we received an approval to design a tech innovation hub in a public school in Nigeria by the alumni community of that school. So what we did as an organization, as STEM Innovation Foundation, was that we pitched to the alumni community and that, you know, we can design an innovation hub in your school where these children, they don't have to leave the school to experience real-world innovation. They can be in their school and see how and connect with different part of the world because they have alumni community members who are in the US, in the UK. How would they connect with them if not through technology? So we wrote that proposal, met with the principal, and approved that space. So we're going to be replicating that model in that same school, and I'll show you a video of a 3D innovation center where students can go in there and think about technology in new exciting ways. So the video. The video. By the way, this facility is powered by solar. Everything is solar powered, so we don't have to think about electricity, and we have subsidized internet costs to run the 3D printers and the virtual reality and the electronic board. So they come there free of charge and learn and innovate and think about the future. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I want to go to you, Dr. Ashun, and ask about the idea of policy to practice, given your role in running a school and what that means. What is, and if you could speak to, how do we move from policy to practice when addressing the types of education we say we want for kids? We understand that the world is a changing, ever evolving place, and we understand the dynamism. The question is, how can there be policy partnerships to ensure that every student does remain at the center and they get that excellent education they deserve?
So I think, Stephen, you harped on that when you talked about grounding the policy in local reality. Just even thinking that we need solar power, right? We have sunshine, it seems 24 hours a day. All right, you get out of your house and you're sweating already. It's 30 degrees, all right? Why not harness what we already have, right? And there's just so much. And I think that when you first come to Ghana or maybe a different part of Africa, I think one of the things that strikes is the fact that, gosh, we have so much. We have so much. Do we even know what we have, right? So that then we can harness it. It's sad that it takes somebody coming from outside to see it. But again, it's that whole fresh eyes concept, right? You're in it and you don't see it, right? Until someone comes from outside and said, did you see this? You know? And so we need to really cultivate that ability to be able to see things with fresh eyes again, and then to make sure that we ground the policy in local realities. We can't do that if we don't engage as many people as possible, right? And so that engagement that sees us going into villages and townships and different schools, that is so important. But I think for me, from where I sit, one of the things that I don't think policy has done well in terms of translating to practice is engaging private schools, right? And I don't know if it's the same in America, but here
It
there's
is.
private schools and then there's public schools,
100%.
you know, and the conversation just
don't
does
talk.
not happen.
Or they have very different
Very much so.
conversations.
And what I have discovered is that when private school leaders try to engage the ministry, right, so that there can be some sort of synergy, I hear awkward things like, but what will the labor unions say? Because it will sound like we're not doing anything and you're the one coming in to make it right. And I said, well, if you were doing something and it was working, we would see it.
Imagine.
So if we can't see it, something's wrong.
Right.
And here you have private schools that are well endowed that actually want to do something. Why not just open the door? So it ends up sounding like we create the policies so that then we can take some glory from it and to say, we did this, right?
Yeah.
And we forget that it's about the student. Our students learning, if they're not learning, we need to find out why and stop thinking about yourself, your government policy, what your union will say. Just reach out to people who can help, because there are lots of schools, individual private schools. Dr. Yeboah and we are members of ASICS, which is the Association of Internationally Certified Schools in Ghana. So our schools offer the IB, the Cambridge curriculum, and other international curricula. And you will not find this space in a public school
Right.
at all.
Right.
But this school invites public school students to come here to take advantage of their facilities. At GIS, we have had a program for over 30 years that sees us busing students from one of our area public schools, the La Anglican schools, to come and use our research labs in science and technology. And we've been just quietly doing this. We haven't sought to get any certification for it, because that's when the unions will say, why? So you know what? If you're here in the public school system, private, so just keep doing things quietly, because it's not about us. It's about the kids and whether they are learning or not.
All right. Well, we've been given the high sign. And one thing I do want to ask Dr. Ajay is, yesterday, Father Ryan said that every generation has their task. So in the quickest way possible, so I don't get the I sign again, in the quickest way possible, end us with, what is our generation's work in education? Since we all have our work, what is our generation's final work in this leg of our time in education? Last words to you.
Okay, I'm gonna be fast, and I'm not even gonna look at Jill, but I promise you I'll be fast. I guess each of us in this room, we have a passion, right? We have something, a little piece of the puzzle that we do and do so well, regardless. And so that little piece that only you can do it and do it well. Do it thinking about the impact it will have on that child, right? On the outcome. And I shared a story in my session, my deep dive yesterday, about how a gentleman we recruited from outskirt Uganda came to Ashesi, full financial aid, but because of the very close-knit community that we had, this student graduated, and he sent me photos of when he entered the village. There was a whole deba. The chief was in sitting with his, smaller chiefs. The entire village community welcomed him with his graduation gown, which every single child had a turn in wearing.
Oh.
And he shared that, Dr. J, I am the first in my community to go to college. And when I was going, my church contributed, my uncle contributed, my parents contributed. So my education belongs to my village community. right? And so we would think that is that one child in that classroom, but the stakes for every single child, for that neurodivergent child, for that able child, the stakes are so high if we do it and do it well. So I would say that whatever role you play, don't take it for granted because the impact is beyond what you see. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. And with that, we will end. We appreciate your time and playing with our sandbox this morning. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanji, and thank you so much, panelists. Wasn't that fantastic? Another round of applause for them. There's too much to discuss. There's too many good ideas. Next year we need to have a 6-day conference instead of 3. What do you think? Oh, well, if we're not anything, we're consistent. On Friday, we were running 15 minutes late. On Saturday, we were running 15 minutes late. And guess what we're going to do today? That's right. We're going to push 15 minutes. So our 11 o'clock breakout sessions, we'll begin them at 11:15. Okay, that means we're coming back here. Those will end at 12:15. We'll meet here at 12:30. And don't forget that when you come at 12:30, we not only have our book raffle, which will start promptly at 12:30, and you must be to win. That's right. You have to be in the room to win. But we also have some other nice gifts for you. So be sure to make it back here by 12:15. I'm sorry, by 12:30. Thank you. Now, we have our Hoover app open, and we know that some of you were able to put some questions for the leadership panel. I'm sorry, the learning panel just now. And I apologize that we didn't have time to get to the Q&A, but know that the conversation can continue there, right? We know that the Hoover app and access to all those resources and a place where you can discuss all those topics is a place that you'll have access to until October, okay, the next 3 months. So let's keep that conversation going. It doesn't need to end now. Now we have a couple of folks, speaking of the Hoover app, we have a couple of folks who are going to come and get a t-shirt as we break. And those people are at the top of the leaderboard. The people at the very top of the leaderboard are have already earned a t-shirt. So Jessica, LaDominique, and Dolores have gotten their t-shirts. But Carla Powell-Lewis, get a round of applause if she's here. If not, we'll get the t-shirt to her. She may be online. We also have Mohammed Yusuf Raji. Is Mohammed here? We can give him a round of applause anyway. He may be online. And Clyde Cole. We saw Clyde last night. Is he back this morning? No. All right. So we're going to give him a round of applause as well. We'll make sure they get their shirts. Any other reminders?
We have a final breakout session, which is the Bright Ideas. And so immediately we depart this particular auditorium, please find your breakout rooms and then attend the sessions. Today is the last day, so please make sure you get as much as possible from these breakout sessions. Engage with other participants, engage with the facilitators, and don't leave here with still lingering questions. So please make sure that as much as possible, you get so much from this last breakout session before we leave here.
All right, and we'll see you back here at what time? 12:30. That's right. Excellent. Thank you so much.